12. Provide law enforcement, first responders, and school officials with proper training for active shooter situations. Well, law enforcement already has that training. Other first responders, I'm not sure. And school officials should. However, the federal government should not be utilizing tax dollars for that purpose, because they shouldn't be getting involved in local issues. Let local governments do that. Let them do it how they see fit. I definitely think they all should. That's certainly very important, but the federal government has no business doing that unless it happens to be a first responders, in a federal building or something like that. Executive Order 13. Maximize enforcement efforts to prevent gun violence and prosecute gun crime. Now, if that's violent gun crime or serious violent felons in possession of firearms, I mean, that's fine. You do the crime, you're going to do the time, and that's that. But what type of gun crime are they speaking of? Are they speaking of the new laws that demonize all gun owners? I certainly think so, and I most certainly hope not. Executive Order 14. Issue a presidential memorandum directing the Centers for Disease Control to research the causes and prevention of gun violence. I don't know where the CDC fits in on that. I could see skewed data coming out of that. I don't have much more to say on that. Executive Order 15. Direct the Attorney General to issue a report on the availability and the most effective use of new gun safety technologies, and challenge the private sector in development of those technologies. Well, everyone likes to see new technologies, but sometimes these new technologies could be very expensive and counterproductive to gun owners. For example, developing guns, they already have these, but guns that only you can fire. They're only fired by someone who would have your fingerprint, and if someone got a hold of your weapon, they couldn't fire it. While I think if a private citizen wants to put something like that on their own firearm, that would be fine, but it should never be mandated. Executive Order 16. Clarify that the Affordable Care Act does not prohibit doctors asking their patients about guns in the home. Note to patients, don't tell your doctor that you have guns in the home. Refuse to answer. We're turning into a snitch culture, and that's just not acceptable. Doctors shouldn't be asking patients should never feel compelled to answer that to a doctor. It has nothing to do with their health. It is encouraging people not to talk with their doctor. If they're scared the doctor is going to snitch them out to the government, the patients are less likely to talk to their doctors. That's common sense. You want to talk about common sense, they all want to talk about common sense gun control. Well, there isn't common sense gun control, but this is not common sense to say, oh, your doctor's going to rat you out now. Great. That's great for people's mental health. Wonderful. Executive Order 18. Excuse me, 17. Release a letter to healthcare providers clarifying that no federal law prohibits them from reporting threats of violence to law enforcement authorities. What I just talked about, same commentary. Executive Order 18. Provide incentives for school to hire school resource officers. Again, federal government shouldn't be paying for this. That's a local issue. Executive Order 19. Develop model emergency response plans for schools, houses of worship, and institutions of higher education. Again, federal government shouldn't be involved in it unless it has to do with the federal building. These are on the lower scale of tyranny here, but again, government overstepping their boundaries. Number 20, release a letter to state health officials clarifying the scope of mental health services that Medicaid plans must cover. Expanding Medicaid. Expanding. But, okay. 21, finalize regulations clarifying essential health benefits and parity requirements within ACA exchanges. 22, commit to finalizing mental health parity regulations. Sounds like 21. And 23, launch a national dialogue led by Secretary Sibelius and Duncan on mental health. I think there does need to be a dialogue on mental health. Actually, I think that's pretty good, but what that dialogue is going to entail, it sounds like it's not going to be a dialogue, but a monologue, kind of like I'm giving a monologue right now. And with that, we are going to take a break. We're going to hear a word from Spreaker Radio, who we appreciate, and stay with us. We will be right back. And we're back. This is Mr. Garbo. This is First Amendment Media's Free Speech Radio. Visit our website at firstamendmentmedia.tumblr.com or my personal website, Mr. Garbo, M-I-S-T-E-R, garbo.wordpress.com. Visit today, visit often, enjoy. We've heard about the executive orders and the beginnings of dismantling the Second Amendment in this country, but if you missed it, Obama issued these orders in the presence of children, because then again, numerous children wrote into the president cute little letters about how they need to ban guns, because these are children. We don't allow children to vote in this country because they're not mature enough. They don't have the knowledge to vote on their leaders yet. Yet we are allowing the ideas of children to dictate our rights. That's ridiculous. But on a more sinister front, tyrants all over throughout history have paraded themselves around with children, notably Hitler. Hitler loved children. He used children to win over the hearts of the people. He killed 11 million people. I'm not saying Obama's going to do that, but it's a terrifying thing to see him parading around with children, exploiting them, just like he's stood on the graves of the deceased children from the tragic Sandy Hook massacre. Stalin also paraded around with children, and he liked children so much that they had a nickname for him, Papa Stalin, Father Stalin. He also won over the hearts of his loyal subjects with children, much like the tyrant-in-chief is doing today. So it remains to be seen how much more of this is going to come out, and how he will exploit children even more. American patriot and talk show radio host, founder of Infowars.com, Alex Jones, who destroyed Piers Morgan last week, has drafted articles of impeachment against Obama. I've posted that on mrgarbo.wordpress.com, and you can read it, or you can also go to Infowars, of course, and see for yourself. And there's a lot of issues that Mr. Jones discusses in his articles of impeachment that he's prepared that has nothing to do with guns. For example, Barack Obama has aided America's enemies, violating his oath by sending funds to insurgents in Syria who are being commanded by al-Qaeda terrorists. He's violated federal law by overseeing a cover-up surrounding Operation Fast and Furious, which does have to do with the Second Amendment. That Fast and Furious, of course, meant to demonize the Second Amendment by shipping guns into Mexico and having Mexican and American citizens murdered. Obama has lied to the American people by overseeing a cover-up of the Benghazi attack, which directly led to the deaths of 4 American citizens. This cover-up has been called Obama's Watergate. Yet 4 months after the incident, 4 months, no one in the administration has been held accountable. Obama has brazenly undermined the power of Congress by insisting his authority came from the United Nations Security Council prior to the attack on Libya, and that congressional approval was not necessary. I don't even have to get the constitutional question, he said. This is an act that constitutes an impeachable high crime and misdemeanor under Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution. So you can see that feel free to read through this. Here's another several I'll go over quickly in the time we have remaining. And this, of course, the next one I'm going to talk about has everything to do with the First Amendment, because before we saw these attacks on the Second Amendment come in the past month, we saw a year of potential attacks on the First Amendment, especially on the internet, and that is. Obama has ignored congressional rejection of the cybersecurity bill. There was SOPA, there was PIPA, and there's even one in the United Nations. He's ignored the congressional rejection of the cybersecurity bill and instead indicated he will pursue an unconstitutional executive order, probably an internet kill switch, giving the federal government power to take away the internet at any time, greatly limit the internet, kind of like they do in China, censorship, etc. The internet has just allowed a free speech explosion in this country like nothing we've ever seen in history. People are reading. People are able to participate in activism, all too often from their armchairs, but yet they're still doing it. They're still getting their word out, and they're not having to go to a newsstand. Some people miss, print being so popular, myself included. But the internet certainly has its incredibly positive sides, because of course you're listening to this broadcast on the internet, and we're broadcasting live, saying what we want to say, writing what we want to write on our websites, and participating in freedom. And it's so important to participate in freedom. And the last issue that I'm going to discuss tonight is a true call to action, because on Saturday, January 19th, there is going to be Gun Appreciation Day, and there will be rallies in at least 47 of the 50 states at the state capitals. So chances are you are going to have a rally in your state to tell Congress, to tell the president, to tell your local leaders that you are not going to sit idly by and watch your Second Amendment rights be taken. And the Nothing Fancy Project, who has a great YouTube show, very informational, informative, tons of information about guns. Our websites, and I'm encouraging everyone who's listening to this broadcast, if you're listening right now, please make plans on Saturday, high noon, at your local state house. If your state doesn't have an event, create one. We still have time to create an event. If there's no event, go by yourself. Go by yourself. Tell the tyrants that our day has come, their day hasn't, we will win. But we must have the courage to persevere and to stand up like our forefathers did. Our founding fathers of this nation risked everything. They had their lives, their good names, their families for freedom. And yes, that seems like a long time ago, but you know what? It wasn't. We're not that many generations removed from those great men and those great ideas. And those great ideas continue to live today. And they will continue to live and they will continue to flourish if we have the courage to stand up. If we have the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to turn off that NFL football game. I'm going to turn off the stupid TV show, and I'm going to get my butt out, and by God, I'm going to protest. I hope to see you there. This is Free Speech Radio, Mr. Garbo, signing off.